That's right.
That's right.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to the stream. I am Amos Joseph, hosting, I guess, co-hosting the stream. And I'm joined today by Brooke Potter in our second stream. For those of you who maybe saw it last week, we did it on a Thursday, making an exception today and starting it actually on a Friday. But from now on, we'll be doing it every Thursday at 11 o'clock Central Time or 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which is where Brooke is from.
Nice.
So yeah, I am Amos Joseph, and we're going to be talking about a couple of different things today. Brooke and I have pulled up a couple of articles, some relevant, some ass cancer, pretty much everything.
Wando ass cancer, man. I mean, huge wads of ass cancer.
Brooke has told me he's found an article that he won't even really tell me about. Then again, I didn't tell him. We try to keep our conversation short before the stream, and so that when we have the stream, we actually have a lot to talk about and good content.
And genuine reactions to the size of the cancer.
Yeah, because there's some, some cancer, some discourse, some actual discussion. So it's not going to be all cancer, but we try to hit as much cancer as possible because it's just cancerous.
Clearly a scholar.
So a couple things here. I'll just kind of briefly outline kind of what we're going to be talking about. The two articles I'll be talking about one is about Betsy DeVos speaking about campuses and rape accusations, and how she believes that not only should we be cracking down on dealing with rape, but also dealing with falsely accused rapes, and that has stirred up quite a controversy because anyone who will stand up for those who are falsely accused of rape is apparently a rape apologist or controversial. And then there's another one on the famous baseball player Sammy Sosa. Has recently been on a website because he's been supposedly, allegedly, maybe, he didn't really say, subject to white supremacy. Awesome. And what were the articles you were pulling up, Brooke? Something about sex robots?
Yes, I really dug into the bowels of the internet this week, and I've got one surprise article that just showed up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is too funny. But before I get into that, like, for everybody, my name is Brook Potter. For those of you who don't know, I'm a guy came from Trinidad and Tobago. I've just moved out to the UK here. And yeah, I've been doing these live streams with Amos. We're planning to keep it quite regularly. We just did one. And, yeah, Amos and I have conversations quite regularly where we discuss a lot of these issues, social events, happenings, just some of the crazy social justice nonsense that's out there. And, we're hoping to make this a regular thing, and we're hoping to connect with our audiences and maybe get some questions and really, try to build a community around this. And with that, I just want to say a thank you to all the guys that I did meet at Shitlord Meetup 2017. Uzulu, who've hosted it out there. I actually went out there and met a lot of the guys, and they were really awesome. There are links on I did a whole video about it on my page if anybody's interested in that. So yeah, we're going to discuss some sex robots, man. I mean, that's clearly on everybody's mind. This is like I think in some ways it's the natural progression of feminism. 60 years of feminism has produced men producing their own sexual fantasies. And beyond that, we're gonna take a translation of an article out of Sweden, where the pro-feminist government is deciding to tackle the issue of cars on the road and their global warming concerns by trying to decrease the number of male drivers in the country to make it more equitable, for the women's. And lastly on that, I've got an opinion piece that There was a lady. She wrote an article maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months. I'm not sure. That went viral on the Washington Post, basically suggesting that her kids, she's a single mom, that her kids were potentially, participating in rape culture. And that went viral. Her kids found out, and of course, learning that information really disrupted them. But she's written a follow-up. So I will send Amos the links for the original if anybody wants to read that. It's on the Washington Post. I think you might need a subscription for it. But this is the follow-up for that, where she's basically come to some conclusions, and it's really disturbing. And on the final point, there is a surprise that just showed up on my Twitter feed, and oh my God, it's just gold. It's the internet does not disappoint. Let's just say
golden ass cancer.
Golden ass cancer, man. I mean,
wow.
It's a gem. It's a complete gem. Yeah. So I mean, with that said, let's get into it, man. Let's go ahead, Amos. You give me one, I'll do one. Let's see how it goes, man.
Okay. So I actually want to start with the Sammy Sosa article. This is from let's see here. All right. Actually, I know it's going to show you guys the Betsy DeVos one. One sec here. I'm actually going to skip. I'm not going to do that one just yet. I'm actually going to do. Let's see here.
Explain to people who this guy is, because I'm not very familiar with baseball.
So Sammy Sosa was a very famous baseball player. I mean, anyone who if you play I'm not too into baseball, but from my understanding, he was very popular. I mean, up there with some of the greats. He kind of, I guess, in the 90s, more so in the 90s and early 2000s, he was very big. But now he is kind of moved on to just into retirement and such. So Attention News did an article in their justice section, of course, about the shocking pictures of a baseball legend are starting a conversation about white supremacy. So here is a sort of a picture of Sammy Sosa in his prime. And what had been going on was basically he showed up in some pictures, and he was on ESPN. So it says here, baseball legend Sammy Sosa's recent appearance on ESPN, in which his skin was far lighter than it was during his playing days, has reignited a conversation about an often overlooked form of racism known as colorism. So you can see right here. And
him?
Yeah, it's him on the right, which is his recent appearance. And so you see some tweets are saying, Sammy Sosa's on his way to become the first visible man. Kind of a little bit of a joke there. And then another picture says, doesn't look like the same person, and they don't even look related to each other, which I would have to agree. So he's a 48-year-old Dominican baseball legend has talked publicly about skin bleaching creams for years. So he says here, it's a bleaching cream that I apply before going to bed, and it whitens my skin some. He reportedly told a host of the Spanish language Univision program, Primer Impacto, in 2009. He said that he did not have any skin condition.
Right.
So in 2011, Sosa's appearance received attention again after he showed up at a baseball game with straightened hair, green contact lenses, and even lighter skin. So says here, yeah, there's just all sorts of tweets about this. And so then, of course, because of Sammy Sosa doing all this, and he doesn't, it's what's interesting, because nowhere in this article you never actually hear him state why he uses the cream.
Right.
He doesn't actually really say, I mean, this guy is a legend, probably made plenty of money, and pretty much defies all these bullshit ideas of institutional racism.
Right.
And but because he's doing this skin bleaching thing, it's being assumed that he was somehow suffering from white supremacy.
So they're saying Sammy Sosa is suffering from white supremacy.
Yeah, he's suffering from racism, and and this is just real quick on my thoughts on colorism. Well, the skin bleaching, it's very common in many cultures, and it even says here, so skin bleaching creams are often used by people in darker skinned ethnic groups around the world who live in societies with a history of slavery or European colonialism, and that favor light skinned people. The prejudice that dark skinned people face, including blacks in America and the Caribbean, is known as colorism. So I know from my experience in Taiwan, there were plenty of products that were for whitening your skin.
Right.
I don't know why this is a thing, but I mean, a lot of Chinese women there Taiwanese women would purchase these to start looking whiter, because I don't know if they just didn't think that, yellower skin, darker skin wasn't as attractive. I don't know why. And what this news article is attributing that to is racism. I don't really know. So these people on Twitter suggested social skin lightening was a result of him internalizing negative feelings, dark skin. So internalized racism, implicit white supremacy, all this stuff. It's just it's assuming a lot, because he said he didn't have a skin condition. He said he puts this on, but he never really says why. Right. As we look further, they're assuming a lot. It says, does Sammy Sosa have a physical ailment, or is this more Latino people who do despise any blackness in them? I don't know.
Interesting. I mean, he's originally from the Dominican Republic, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, the Dominican is a very interesting place. If ever, I mean, both you and I have a friend from there, and I mean, if you ever have the conversations with him and stuff, the culture is very different. And while he may fit, Americans might look at him and basically consider him to be black, in the Dominican Republic, they don't see themselves as black. They actually see themselves as Spanish. And there's a very rich kind of cultural heritage towards Spain as the mainland and all this different kinds of stuff. I mean, I've never heard colorism. We call it shadeism. That's the phrase that I've heard in the Caribbean.
Right.
And it's a real thing. I mean, we have the same thing in my country, in Trinidad and Tobago. We used to have banners of like the skin whitening stuff, and because we have like the East Indians as well as the Africans, and just a mix of people. And yeah, even within a family, if a daughter or a son is born fairer than the other, they tend to get like preferential treatment within the family and stuff. So it's definitely a cultural thing. The Dominican mindset is a little different. I don't want to speak for them because I don't have a lot of experience with it. I just know they don't see themselves as black. They see themselves Spanish, as in European in a sense. So that might play into it a little bit.
So you got this tweets here. Let's see. This guy, Alex Medina. I don't know who this is. I mean, I'm guessing it's a baseball player. He says, as a Dominican, the Sammy Sosa pick is a sad reminder of the self-hate and psychological damage of white supremacy that still exists. Once again, this is assumed.
Yeah, we don't know his motivations for anything.
Yeah, and so then they're talking about the 5 uncomfortable truths about blackness in the Dominican Republic.
Did you read it?
I didn't actually click on that.
Right. It is actually, it's a cultural study, because they're unlike the affinity of like African and African Americans and stuff. They have a very different perspective on race and stuff.
And look at this, Sammy Sosa, the perfect example of a Dominican that doesn't want to be defined as black. And then
almost the whole country is like that.
Self-hate is real. Dominicans in denial is real.
Right.
So I don't get this. It's just, this is what, because this article it's a conflict between what everyone else assumes Sammy Sosa's intentions are versus him just making his own decisions.
Sure.
If he wants to bleach his skin and make himself white, that's his thing.
Sure.
So, and then it says here, if you want a glimpse at the depth of anti-blackness and the colorism in the Dominican Republic, just look at Sammy Sosa. So now he's becoming this poster child for this supposed issue that he might or might not be going through.
Right.
A successful baseball player just doing what he wants to do. I mean, in my opinion, just as I'm thinking now, celebrities do all sorts of stuff all the time that sometimes just don't make sense. And to politicize or anything without the actual person saying they're actually making that point is just stupid.
Yeah.
If he's really trying to make a point, if he's really trying to say it, I'm sure he'll say it. But if he just is deliberately not really saying yes or no to these claims,
sure,
then that's his deal.
Correct. Yeah,
so it says
correlation doesn't mean causation, right? So people are pointing to what he's doing and trying to draw some kind of conclusion.
Right.
But the truth is, if he hasn't said anything, you're just trying to fit a narrative.
Yeah, it's creating a narrative where there really isn't one. So it says here, as I highlighted here, Sosa has never publicly addressed why he chooses to lighten his skin, but he's also asserted. Oh, see, highlight asserted. It's not the result of his skin condition or his alleged use of steroids during his playing career.
Right.
And then it goes on to talk about how colorism is not a problem in the U.S. It's not just a problem in the U.S.
Right.
So it's left over by slavery. Most of it is about slave centers and its history in the States. However, as Professor Henry Louis Gates explored in a PBS documentary, the transatlantic slave trade brought about 11.2 million slaves into the New World, but only 450,000 of those went to the U.S. The remainder were sent to the Caribbean and South America, leaving behind slave descendants who went through centuries of being embarrassed about how black they are. I mean, okay.
I mean, this stuff really, it's not making a lot of sense, man. I mean,
it's digging really.
Yeah, you're trying to fit a narrative, right? So you're talking about a bunch of progressives who are complaining about a Dominican guy doing what basically he wants to do, right? And they're trying to suggest it's some kind of internalized, shadism, or colorism as they call it, and some kind of internal hatred towards black people and all this other kinds of stuff. But at the same time, these are the people who give up on the biology of two sexes and say that you can make up your gender.
So here's just it's probably someone's probably going to flip out when I mention this, but
right.
Ariel Winter is a famous actress that is talked about right now because she posts sort of risque sort of photos on Instagram and stuff. She's a girl that was in this TV show Modern Family. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Brooke.
Modern Family. I think, yeah. Well, my mother used to watch it. I never watched it. Yeah.
She had this whole thing of she posted some pictures of herself on Instagram in a bikini, and everyone flipped a bunch of, obviously all the guys are oogling over this, making comments saying, hey, looks great, looks awesome, about her boobs and such. And this sparked controversy because sexism and misogyny and all the
buzzwords,
all the everything denying the fact that if you're gonna post a picture like that, men are gonna notice. That's just fact. So she goes, she's like, I think a little bit older than me or around my age.
Right.
But she went through this a breast reduction surgery.
Okay.
Basically, essentially modifying her physical, attributes.
Right.
Which is totally her business.
Correct.
She can do whatever she wants. So then she does this. She goes to some event where some like red carpet event, and she has this dress on, and she shows this. She's proudly not hiding these scars of her breast reduction surgery, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's like, "Because I'm brave and I'm doing what's best for me, what I want to do." And then basically a bunch of people were talking about, like, there's controversy, and they're saying, and then the left is of course coming out and saying, no, she can do what she wants, she can be proud of it,
Right.
and you guys can't judge because that's her choice. And then they start making it a whole thing about, okay, people who struggle with big breasts, back problems, all this stuff. So they make a case to say, hey, she can do what she wants. So the left will defend her and say, hey, she can do what she wants, modifying her body.
Right.
So here comes Sammy Sosa modifying his skin color, and holy shit.
It's internalized racism.
It's internalized racism. It's white supremacy. One of the most successful baseball players in history, a legend. Yeah. He's in the Hall of Fame, you know. But because he's Dominican, because he was black, or at least would have identified as black, it's a narrative. We got to turn this into a race thing. So you can modify your body if it's like a feminist sort of thing, but you can't modify it when it's a race issue. Right.
You know, because black people aren't allowed to modify their bodies, you know.
Right.
I mean, like you know, I've got a friend in Russia and stuff like that. And the thing in Russia is the big lips, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they do this. I mean, my friend does this treatment like twice a year or something like that to give herself much bigger, fuller lips. So some people could probably argue and say maybe that's internal, you know, racism against thin white lips, and maybe she's trying to identify more with like black people with like big, fuller lips or some shit. But I mean,
oh, that's cultural appropriation. You can't do that.
I was about to say, it's like you cannot please these people. There is just no way to please these people. So you can make up your gender, you can, you know, pierce yourself, implant like unicorn horns. You could call yourself, you know, whatever you want, all of this other stuff. But the minute you attack their narrative about race and all this other kinds of stuff, suddenly they've got no tolerance for you. So this is just nonsense.
Yeah, and for this, I mean, they're really, really digging to like basically draw parallels when in fact Sammy Sosa never confirms or denies any of these claims of them of this, you know, racism. So here it says Claudio Cabrera wrote about his own experience with colorism and self-hatred in Dominican culture for the HuffPo. Oh boy, more cancer in 2013. So here, so they start drawing up this whole other story, which is pretty much a Dominican guy who actually feels sort of he doesn't want to be black, and then I mean, so now they're pulling ananother story from the HuffPo trying to draw a parallel and say, you know, this is an issue. So, and then of course, have you ever used skin bleaching cream?
It's funny.
So yeah, and then because one guy they found from the Huffington Post a while back says this, therefore Sammy Sosa must be going through it. Once again, he has never publicly addressed it. Well, because, you know, he's probably afraid of racism with all his millions of dollars.
Now, what gets me with this nonsense, right, is I don't like even the documentary. Like I actually saw the documentary that they talked about, where this guy went down, this American professor went down, and he talked about the problem of blackness in the Dominican. Who the hell gives the American blacks the right to dictate how other blacks should interact in their own country? Right? Like, who the hell gives America the right to come into the Dominican Republic and say they're not acting Dominican enough in my expectation? Like, they should act more like the blacks in America. Why aren't they doing that? And I mean, it's the heights of hubris to do that. And I mean, these when I hear a lot of these kind of people pushing this narrative and stuff, and you know, shadism, you know, racism and stuff like that, it doesn't translate to other countries. Like, straight up, like if I were to talk about racism in Trinidad and Tobago, where I was the minority, believe me, these arguments that they're putting out, they fall apart really quick. Or talk to some of the people in South Africa. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, talk about a bubble, man, like a total echo chamber. It's beyond me, bro.
Well, the double standards are just ridiculous when you have, like I said, you can, you know, if it's a woman doing what she wants, she can do that. If it's
she has feminist privilege.
Yeah, she has feminist privilege. But if a man wants to do it, no, women can tell a man how to do things.
Yeah.
Black people can tell black people how to do things, but white people can't tell black people. But the minorities can tell the white people how to do things.
Yeah.
And white people can't tell white people what to do, because
and Americans could tell everybody else in the world what to do. I mean,
and America can't tell anyone, but everyone can tell America. And then what else? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's like if you're really gonna if you want this narrative of humanity, sort of unity, united,
then they need to stop bringing up this form of segregation. It is a form of mental segregation.
Yeah, so you're treating people differently based on their race, gender, sexual orientation.
yeah, you really are. It's a form of discrimination. So okay, so he doesn't maybe he does. I mean, we don't know what Sammy Sosa is thinking. Maybe he doesn't identify himself.
What if he does? What if he doesn't identify as black? Maybe he wants to identify as light-skinned.
Yeah, maybe he does. Just like some people with the gender dysphoria disease, they don't identify as a man or a woman, but they transform, whatever their birth body is, but they do the transition. And we're supposed to accept that, right? We're supposed
to allow children in Canada to be born without a sex.
Right, which is, I mean, we should have done that. But that's fine. But when it comes to somebody who's lightening their skin, and it's not affecting anybody.
The dude's 48 years old. The dude's 48 years old. Probably has plenty of money to put away. Live his life. So. Do whatever the heck he wants. And
but the fact that he's lightening his skin, and wasn't that the title? The title of it was something about white supremacy, right? Some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
Right. And again, a guy lightening his skin is not a form of white supremacy, right? I mean, he's not oppressing anybody, right? He's not out there necessarily thinking that he is superior to anybody
else. He
was
pressured. The pressure of white supremacy made him
right.
Forced
internalized racism and all this other nonsense. If the only people that have an understanding of the Dominican culture are the Dominicans. Like, even for myself, I know bits and pieces, but they've never, from what I understand, they've never considered themselves black.
Yeah, so, I mean, they should have probably gone and actually found, they should have found someone from the Dominican Republic who actually understands the culture and say, hey, is colorism, or as you called it, shadeism, is this an actual issue, or is this just a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to see that in the height, you go to India with the caste system.
Yeah, I mean, you got the caste system.
If you're a dark, like a from a Punjab or a Madras and stuff, you're considered lesser, right? And
really?
they literally have the caste system. So the Brahmins and stuff up at the top are all very fair. Like, if you watch a lot of the Indian movies that come out, they're practically Caucasian, So yeah, the lighter skin in the culture is esteemed higher. So if you don't think that there's a wash of people trying to bleach their skin in India, you're in denial. But that's because of the culture. In the Hindu culture, they're all Indian, right? They're all the same race. But even with that, there is the esteem within the culture for that. I'm not going to speak to some Indian guy who might be doing that and tell him he's not being proper Indian. Who do you think you are?
Well, you can't, Brooke. You're white.
Well, yeah, I appear white on TV anyway. I look white on YouTube.
So let's talk about sex robots.
Oh, you want to do sex robots now? Yeah. I'll try and go through these pretty quick, man. Let me see. How do I share? Right, here we go. 1 second. Let's do the sex robots.
See, I think either that's going to be a real short conversation or that's going to take a while.
Yeah, it's not a lot to present to everybody. All right, guys, here we go. We're talking about sex robots. Now, it should be noted that even to this present day, they do actually have sex dolls available for persons. So you could order different dolls and stuff like that and whatever. And there's actually a video of this where people have married these dolls and stuff like that. But what's going on now that's got a lot of people pretty upset is the advent of artificial intelligence being applied to these sex robots, right?
Ooh.
So where they, it's like the intelligence of Alexa, the home speaker that Amazon is putting out, or like the Google Home or whatever.
Yep.
That kind of rudimentary intelligence is now being applied to the sex robot industry. And it's causing an ethical dilemma, right? So as we get into the article, right, as technology has expanded, sex robots have become more increasingly lifelike, bringing about the need for a revolution as to how we think about sex, morals, legal status of these sex robots, according to Kent Law School professor Robin McKenzie. Professor McKenzie specialized in the area of robotics and the ethics and legal relationship between humans and robots. She said, sex, law, ethics will need to be the same sooner than we think. Technologies will create sentient, self-aware robots capable of emotional and sexual intimacy. They're basically saying these robots are eventually going to come to life, right?
Wow.
And because when they come to life, we could no longer consider them to be things, which is a point she makes later on. But let me get to it. So she adds here, humans having sex with other humans who are unable to consent to sex, like children or adults lacking decision-making capacity, is seen as unlawful and unethical. So is human-animal sex. Such groups are recognized as sentient beings who cannot consent to sex with interests in needs of protection. Sentient, self-aware sex robots created to engage in emotional sexual intimacy with humans disrupt this tidy model. They're basically saying you've designed the thing for the sole purpose of sexual pleasure, and because it might be sentient and it's bound by its programming, it's basically a slave, right?
It's a consenting slave.
Right. Now here's why this is ridiculous, right? Well, first of all, we're not anywhere near some kind of sentient anything.
Damn
right?
it. Damn it.
We're clearly not, right? Besides what Ex Machina and Chappie and all these great Hollywood movies might have you believe, we're not anywhere near that kind of advanced understanding and stuff like that for sentience. So they're kicking a fuss about something that isn't even in play, right? The artificial intelligence that we have today is basically what you're going to get with Alexa or like the Google Home or Siri or whatever the case might be. I think the Google Home is probably the most advanced that we have right now. But here's the thing, right? This actually raises beyond the ethical questions. Like if it ever did become sentient, which I don't foresee ever really happening. But if anything like that really happened, is it still a machine, right? Is it still, in the confines of our understanding and stuff like that, a thing, and therefore is it entitled to certain rights?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But I'm actually more impressed with this thing in the sense that this is actually causing a huge stir with a lot of the feminist groups that are out there.
Because now we don't need the women either.
Yeah. So like research in sex robots and the research in artificial wombs. There was a good article about that, but I didn't want to take up too much time on it. But yeah, in many ways, if the real strength and the power of women, is as I spoke about recently, was their youth, their beauty, their fertility, and if that is under threat in the sexual marketplace, yeah, a lot of people are going to be very upset that they're not being used. They're not engaging in this whole thing. So like the whole MGTOW movement, the guys out there who've completely walked away from women and some of them have even walked away from society.
Right.
They are thrilled with this kind of advancement. But yeah, you could get these sex robots with some basic artificial intelligence, and men will pretty much fall in love with it.
See, this is what happens. Like this is what you create when feminism goes off the wall crazy, like batshit crazy. Is third wave feminism has the pushback has the pushback from men has been this is okay if you're really going to demonize us as the opposite sex, this is what's going to happen. We're going to create things that will satisfy us, and we don't need you anymore. Because, I mean, it's because I don't know if this is true, but I wonder if the feminist movement has basically thrived on this tension, if you want to call it, on basically being needed while not wanting to give in. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that.
Like, they're like, well, we're still women. You still need us for children, for companionship, for all this stuff. But we're not going to give it to you. So there's been this sort of tension, and now we've eliminated that. We have sex robots.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what I make the point that even to this day, there are sexual tools for both men and women. You know, you got like lifelike dolls, you got like appendages, fleshlights. You know, men have came up with a lot of ways to kind of get around, you know, the lack of women and stuff like that. But the real power of women, of course, is the reproductive rights and their ability to produce offspring and stuff. There's a lot of work that's going on with that, with the artificial wombs and stuff that could, you know, quite potentially change. Could really change the dynamics of power. But I'm glad you brought it back to the feminism thing, because like pretty much all of my articles are kind of in line with that. I'm going through them quick because I actually do want to get to the surprise one. But yeah, you go ahead, man. Let's hit your next one, bro.
Well, gee, we went through that one in 10 minutes, and it took me 20 minutes for mine.
That's why I'm going quick.
Okay, so here we are. We're going to go back to this. So Betsy DeVos wants to quickly change the way the government treats campus sexual assault. So BuzzFeed News, the cancer king of the internet. Literally, as you know, anyways. Okay. After days of controversy surrounding meetings with stakeholders in the campus sexual assault debate, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos said Thursday that she wanted to help both victims of assault and those who have been falsely accused of rape.
Sounds
what?
Good.
She's a rape apologist. That's the assumption.
Every accusation of rape is true. Oh my God.
Well, we have to, you know, I saw this whole thing. We got to protect them. We got to just assume like it's serious.
Yeah, guilty until proven innocent. I get it.
So DeVos, a striking departure from the rhetoric of the Obama administration, which focused primarily on survivors.
Or liars, as the case might be.
Maybe.
Right.
You never know. DeVos strongly suggested that she was planning to overhaul the way that the government deals with campus sexual assault, calling the system of enforcing Title IX broken. We need to get this right. We need to protect all students, and we need to do this quickly, she told reporters. For perhaps any other education secretary, the meetings would have been run-of-the-mill events, but earlier this week, DeVos angered advocates for victims of sexual assault by agreeing to meet with members of a men's rights group. Oh my God.
Oh my God, MRAs, man.
I mean, they're like, holy shit.
That's the dark part of the internet.
Yeah, which argues that men accused of assault are treated unfairly by colleges under the Obama administration's Title IX guidance. The National Coalition of Men has a history of intimidating victims by publishing the identities of women who say they made false accusations. And that's a bunch of double standard bullshit, because plenty of men have been accused of rape falsely, and later on they find out that it was not true, but their reputation's already tarnished and their identity is out there. They're done.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah. So why is this so bad? I mean, either way, you don't want to like tarnish anyone's reputation, but if they're gonna do it, this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna freaking do it too.
I mean, you might want to check the facts on that and actually see if that's what they actually do, rather than what BuzzFeed is saying that they do.
Well, yeah,
but I understand. I understand
but
the point.
Even if BuzzFeed is right on that fact, this is what happens. You want to talk about equality, and this is what happens. You want to go after false rapists, then they're going to go after liars. What do you expect? DeVos sat with victims groups Thursday morning, protesters and advocates, including Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, stood outside in the muggy heat, reading stories of sexual assault survivors because the feelings.
Right. Because vagina.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's important. Yeah, you wanna work on that. You wanna, what is it? You wanna appeal to people's feelings and the more of the issues of like the heart of some of these issues. But when it comes down to it, who's lying and who's telling the truth?
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be blind justice, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
You don't want to terrorize, a victim, likewise, or even the accuser until you've got the facts and the evidence.
So here's where it gets really interesting. So Gillibrand says this should be about justice, not false ideology. Well, you're the one with the false ideology.
So wait. They're saying that men being concerned of being accused of rape falsely is a false ideology?
Maybe.
Fucking hell, man.
So I urge Secretary DeVos and everybody else who works in the Department of Education to listen to these survivor stories, listen to what happened to them or what maybe supposedly happened to them. DeVos, so here's where she gets really interesting a little bit down here. But DeVos said the stories of the falsely accused rape are not often told, repeatedly mentioning them alongside victims of sexual assault. She said, I saw a lot of pain today. So DeVos gets it. I mean, but hey, she's not a leftist, liberal, democratic woman, so she doesn't mean anything if she's standing up for men. So the accused students and their attorneys, who have long insisted the system is failing them, told BuzzFeed News that the facts DeVos welcomed them to the table was remarkable. Yeah, I mean it. What?
You mean she's not just talking to feminists and women? Wow.
She's actually. Yeah. This is the first time there's an acknowledgement by the department that the equation here is more than just victims of sexual misconduct. This is said by an attorney who works with groups invited to the accused students meeting.
Right.
So her civil rights chief, Candace Jackson, stirred outrage on Wednesday when she told the New York Times that 90% of accusations fall into the category of, we were both drunk, we broke up, and 6 months later I found myself under a Title IX investigation before she just decided that our last sleeping together was not quite right.
Wow.
Because that's what happens. Now the definition of rape is turning into I wake up the next day or weeks later, I'm going to say that, yeah, withdrawing consent is a
fact.
Yeah. When we were, including we were both drunk. What about his consent?
Yeah, if they're both drunk, he can't consent either, right? It's like...
So, but I mean, that's, he's innately a pig-headed sex,
he's a misogynist man, right?
I mean, caveman. Yeah. The remarks drew ire from Democratic senators who called them deeply disturbing. Jackson, herself a sexual assault survivor, later apologized, saying her words were flippant and telling the group of survivors Thursday that did not represent her views, according to 3 people present at the meeting. Huh.
Interesting.
So it goes on talking about, how this probably digging for more and more of a narrative and saying, well, DeVos is crazy and this Title IX, and I kind of skimmed over the beginning of it, but
right. Where does it get interesting?
I mean, I think it's just interesting to begin with the fact that now you have a woman who's actually
listening to both sides.
Who's actually listening to both sides, and this is controversial somehow.
I think it's brilliant.
So
yeah.
So it goes on. Fatima Goss-Graves, president of the National Women's Law Center, said she told DeVos and Jackson that the department should do more than apologize, encouraging them to take the lead in dispelling rape myths, because every rape just happens. The more important thing for Jackson to do and for the secretary to do is demonstrate repeatedly that any sorts of myths and outdated ideas are not guiding their policy. So they're assuming that there's myths involved and outdated ideas. The outdated idea of seeing both sides and dispelling unjust accusations.
Right. Well, yeah. The myth they apparently think is that false accusations. So false accusations are a myth according to these people. Okay.
DeVos would not answer several questions from reporters about whether she agreed with Jackson's comments. She said instead that the department was listening and knew it needed to get it right. Well,
sure.
Whatever it is.
Well, yeah, whatever legislation. If they're repealing the Title IX thing, I mean, I don't know it. I've never heard of the Title IX thing. This is obviously a very new American thing.
I haven't heard about it before this either.
In the UK, yeah, I mean, out here in the UK, it's pretty much as bad as that.
Yeah.
But, as you say, wake up drunk, a couple of weeks later, it was rape all of a sudden, and the guy has no rights.
I think it's. I mean, I'm assuming here, but it's something. It has to do something with just a stronger action against accused rapists.
Sure.
And so it says the groups working with accused students all would like to see the 2011 directive withdrawn, saying that would allow schools to use a higher standard of evidence in determining someone's guilt. Higher standard? You mean like the standard of just
evidence?
Evidence. And would allow students to bring attorneys into campus tribunals. What?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If there is a tribunal that's investigating it.
But advocates for sexual assault survivors say that withdrawing that 2011 letter would give license to schools to dismiss complaints from rape victims. Well, if it's just a complaint.
Yeah, exactly.
Complaint or accusation. There's a big difference there.
That's some very funny wording right there. If it's as you say, if it's a complaint, I don't like my ex-boyfriend, he's sleeping with somebody else. I think the last time we had sex, he raped me. That's not quite what this thing is for,
So, yeah, it talks more about there's this guy, Jonathan Andrews, a former college student, told DeVos he attempted suicide after being falsely accused of assault.
Right.
So that's actually relevant. But it's at the end here, and it seems to be almost dismissed. So this is for a long time the victims have not been paid attention to, and that's a serious problem. Now we've swung the pendulum so far that it's become guilty until
proven innocent.
That's a problem.
That is a huge problem. The only other place that happens is with your taxes. Like if you're not paying your taxes, the government will come in and seize everything, and then you have to fight to get it back. So if it is rape suddenly has that much power, like just the accusation, that's something to be concerned about. Now, I should make it clear, we are not dismissing that there are genuine rapes out there.
Well, definitely there's genuine rape out there.
Yeah, if the legal system and otherwise is clogged with a lot of frivolous, jealous boyfriend, jealous girlfriend, drunk boyfriend, drunk girlfriend, changed their mind like a couple of days after the event or whatever. If the legal system is packed with that kind of stuff, you can't give the attention to the genuine victims that actually need like resources, help, and these other things.
Yeah.
So at least from what I'm seeing here, there are real repercussions for both men and women in just the accusation, and if it's real, definitely justice should be served.
Yeah. So it says here, DeVos needs to meet students where they are. She shouldn't make people have to come to DC.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. But
yeah.
Anyways.
But I mean, if it is that she's holding a consultation in DC about an issue of legislation, yeah, they got to let him come.
Surprisingly, I thought this would go. I mean, the wording is a little off. There's a couple of things that kind of don't really hit on the head with the things that it needs to hit on. But surprisingly, BuzzFeed didn't go too far off the rail and start assuming that, she's a rape apologist. But
right.
Someone's going to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I'm sure if you ever get, we'll put the link out. I'm sure if people go through the comments, they'll find all sorts of rich nuggets of misogyny and misogyny and rape culture and all those buzzwords and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's plenty of comments down here that are going through a lot of stuff. A lot of people are thinking, yeah, oh yeah, speaking of, yeah, rapists, sure. So it's getting there. People are already assuming that.
I could see that happening, man. I mean, it's a hot button issue. It needs to be taken seriously, but for a long time, women have had an overwhelming amount of power in this entire arena.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was what was this guy Spino on from the UK, and basically he became MGTOW at the age of 15 over these very concerns. That if he just talked to a woman, that would be some kind of assault, and she has the power to destroy his life by saying, yeah, this guy assaulted me by saying whatever.
We heard about Humongous.
Right, yeah, Humongous, man. I heard he was running for mayor or something, man. That would be pretty cool. The only thing better than that is if you ran for president. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Speaking of which, real quick, just when you thought you could stay out of politics, I was playing this game on my phone, and it's supposed to be like a real-time strategy game. And I'm not going to mention the game because I don't want to get it
sure
any copyrights. But basically, it shows you like some current events. It cracks a joke every now and then, sort of like a play on thing, like he did something on Justin Bieber or whatever. And out of nowhere, it said, and it talked about Brexit, which was kind of funny.
Right.
Then it like brings in, then it throws in the word. It says, populist politician says he gave the best speech ever.
Right.
I was like, and it was this whole thing I wrote about it, and I was like, really? I'm gonna have this anti-Trump message in my game?
Oh, that's funny, man.
It's like, no shame. Sorry, but go ahead with your.
Okay, yeah.
We got to get to the surprise because I actually want to know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go through this pretty quick. So we're talking about Sweden. Oh, everybody's favorite country, man. If Yuan is listening, bro, I'll miss you, bro. I look forward to seeing you really soon. So Sweden is apparently, I mean, I don't know the full details, but apparently the cabinet and everything is all women. And Sweden is on this trip of being the most progressive feminist government in the world. So in light of supposedly, right? So in light of global warming scares, the Paris Accord, and other things like that, they're deciding that they need to crack down on the number of cars that are on the road. And it's also a feminist issue because the majority of people who actually use the cars are men. So as it says here, Sweden's environmental minister has said reducing car numbers is a feminist issue, as well as a matter of meeting carbon emission targets, saying male drivers occupy space in Sweden's cities at women's expense.
Wait, what's that say on the right? The LPGA questioning. Oh no, never mind.
No, that's advertisement, man.
Wait, what? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's just boobs, Lamenting that the urban planners committees have put the car on a pedestal in the last 50 years, Crawling Skog insists that it's vital that the city find a way to reduce the number of cars on the road. The car is a flexible mode of transportation. People find it a nice way to travel around in their own bubble. The minister told, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that newspaper. Anybody who wants to read it in Swedish, they could read it there. But the main drawback is that it's ineffective. A number of cars in Sweden still stands at 97% of its lifetime. For every car, there are 8 parking spaces and many miles of road. We can't call that effective. Ms. Skog, said that reducing the number of cars on the road is a gender issue because their prevalence in Sweden's cities results in men taking space away from women.
Whoa, this is manspreading with cars?
This is manspreading with cars. Cars are driven largely by men. So by giving a lot of space to cars, we're giving a lot of space to men at the expense of women.
What the fuck?
I mean, literally. Now, I don't want to go through the whole thing because we are, watching the time. But just as a quick primer, for people who are unfamiliar with some of the exploits of this feminist government, right? They have a where is it? General, right? Okay, so they've tried something like this before in trying to promote gender equality and stuff like that. In November, however, Stockholm's policy on gender-neutral snow plowing was called into question. So they decided that they were going to take how the city plows the roads and the pavements and stuff like that, and rework it more in line with feminist narratives. And it says here, under the previous system, fresh snowfall were first cleared from the main roads and by areas like construction sites before they were removed from the pavements. Because men are more likely to drive and women are more likely to travel on foot, more women slipped on the ice, which led to the complaint that the system was sexist. Hear that again. When they paved the roads and they cleared the construction sites and they left the pavements, for last,
right?
That's sexist, right? So the policy branded the results of the feminist policy deplorable and said that with ambulances unable. So what they did is they did it in reverse. They decided, okay, we'll clear the pavements first, and then we'll clear the roads and the construction sites to make it more equitable for women's. And needless to say, the entire city shut down, right? It was just chaos. It was just, they were unable to move and stuff like that. The ambulance couldn't get through. Nobody could get to work. It was just complete and total chaos. Right. So the police branded the results of the feminist policy deplorable and said with ambulances unable to make their way along Stockholm roads, it posed a danger to society. So again, introducing a feminist system of snow clearing was high on the agenda when Stockholm's Red-Green coalition was elected in the city in 2014. But even the Green vice mayor admitted equality snow removal had failed the city and apologized to the residents who'd been injured amidst the chaos it caused in November. So they've tried something like this before, which was, again, as I say, the whole snow plowing incident and stuff like that. And then they're now trying to do the same thing with the cars. And the way they want to do this by limiting the amount of men. It's obviously there's no policy in place yet, but they want to limit the amount of men that are allowed to drive on the road to give the women more space to have their cars on the road. And they're going to do the whole thing under the guise of carbon emissions and environmentalism and all that good stuff.
So cars are a gender issue.
Cars are a gender issue. Yeah. And so
probably a race issue too, because I don't know.
Yeah, they probably don't want the migrants probably can't afford a lot of the cars. So yeah, it's probably sexist and racist in some capacity.
Like when I hear you read the story, you know what it feels like? It sounds like. So you hear these feminists, they hate the anti-feminists, they hate the MRAs, the MGTOW, the whole thing, because they think we don't take it seriously, we make fun of them, and we do parodies and all this stuff. And we do. Yeah, this is real. And it sounds like a parody.
Exactly.
It sounds like a complete joke.
You would expect this on The Onion. Like, you would expect this on some kind of joke website.
You would expect this on some sort of this is.
Just think about it. Like, unbelievable. Like,
this is too well written to be real.
Yeah, the whole economy, unfortunately, for better or worse, let's be real, men are driving the real economy. Right? So remember a couple months ago, there was like the day of protest or whatever, where all women were going on strike, which pretty much went unnoticed for the most part.
Like here's what I think. Like the whole feminist thing is like, like there was the day without women.
Right,
women
just didn't show up to work.
Yeah. So like if you took all the women in the world just somehow and they all disappeared for a month, the world would fall apart in some way.
Probably. Well, it would diminish. Yeah, I don't know if it'll fall apart, but it would definitely.
There would be definite issues.
Yeah, sure, I get that.
If all men disappeared, there would be definite issues.
Definitely. Agreed.
For different reasons. Because we both complement each other in very different ways. So
yeah, I agree.
when men try to do what women do, it's cute, it's fine, it's whatever. When women try to do what men do, it's funny.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, just to kind of keep it in perspective, there was a time in human history there where women really couldn't do anything except, be the mother of the house and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If it were to suddenly disappear, yes, we would miss out on a lot of, some, management, leadership, creative folks. A lot of positions would disappear, but men would rise to fill the gap because, that's we basically could do everything in the spectrum.
Yeah.
But again, if men suddenly disappeared, as reluctantly it might be, there wouldn't be a lot of women out there trying to go and be the lumberjacks, the miners, and other stuff like that. They'll have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Right? But because men's ability is more spread out, like we cover the spectrum of the most dangerous jobs as well as, the very high end, comfortable executives and other things, we can fill the gap more evenly.
Yeah.
Disappear. Yeah, sorry, if the men disappear, by force they'll have to fill the gap, but it will not be as willing, or at least it wouldn't be as natural probably. You'll definitely see a difference.
I think I was actually watching Steven Crowder did a thing. He did his show yesterday. He had Cassie J on from the Red Pill.
Oh, right, documentarian for the Red Pill, yeah.
Yep. So she did this. She mentioned this whole thing about how, like, she said she's probably going to get a lot of flack from feminists, but she basically said, for women to be home, to cook, to take care of the house, to take care of the children, to basically maintain the house.
Yeah.
If anything, it should be seen as an appreciation for the man to go out there and do the dangerous work, do the, labor intensive, physically intensive work to make the money to provide for her.
Correct.
That's just. I mean, that's not about sort of paying back. It's a show. It's a compliment to what he's doing, because in a lot of cases she probably couldn't do it. He could probably take care of the house fine, but she wouldn't be able to do, depending on his job, she probably wouldn't be able to do his job.
Yeah, we can't obviously speak for all women and all men, and we get that. We're just speaking very generally in that respect.
Right. I mean,
yeah,
for example,
in the sense. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, for example, with my job being so physically demanding. As a man, it's normal. It definitely has its demanding parts, but I couldn't. I'm a technician, for those of you who don't know, and I'm not going to say for who, but I'm a technician that works in the field. I go to houses, do service work on equipment, and the only woman in our entire office is the administrative assistant. So she's kind of like a secretary to the manager.
Sure.
I could not imagine a woman. I probably could, but I couldn't imagine a woman being able to do our jobs as effectively or quickly as we can. That's just, it's that dangerous. Climbing on a roof.
Yeah, don't give away what you do, but because there are not too many things that go on a roof. But the response would be, like, I'm sure if we ever got a feminist response, it'd be like, well, I know this woman and she's out there and she's doing that kind of work and stuff like that.
Great.
We celebrate her. Yeah, and my response to you like that, right, is the fact that she's the one that she knows stands out, proves the point. She is the exception. It's the same thing, like these really fit women who might be in their 50s or whatever.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh my God, she's so great, and she's in the gym and whatever like that. The reason they celebrate her is because she's the exception. She's exceptional, right? She's 50 years old and she looks great.
Right.
The same thing with the technician, the female technician. The reason you know about her is because she is the exception to the rule. That's what makes her special.
Right.
Unlike the hundreds of other male technicians, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with the work that I'm doing with the trading and the forecasting and stuff like that. The field is male dominated. Now, it's not that they don't have women that trade. A lot of, ironically, a lot of lesbians, right? But they do have women that do it, right? But it's a minority, and many times we can remember the names of the few women,
right?
Do the trading and stuff like that. And the reason that is because there are exceptions. They are exceptional. They're not the norm. It speaks to the whole paradigm.
Right. Well, let's move on to our surprise ass cancer.
You don't have any more?
No, I just got 2 articles. I mean, we've kind of summed up.
Well, I've got one more and then the ass cancer, man. So.
Oh, one more than. Oh man.
3. I did 3. But I'll just touch on the other one really briefly, and then that, and let me just share with everyone. Okay, so this is let me just close this one off.
Oh, you don't even have the ass cancer up. You gotta pull it up somewhere else.
Yeah, it's somewhere else. I'll switch to that when we're done here.
It's true
because I don't want to give it away. It is just too ridiculous. In the introduction, this is an article by this lady, Jodi Alad. She wrote an article a couple of weeks ago that went viral on the Washington Post.
I think you told me about this one.
Yeah, I think we had the discussion early on.
Right.
Where basically she accused her sons, who I think were in like their mid-teens, of being part of rape culture and apologists and stuff like that, right?
She was genuinely concerned that her children, simply because they were born with a penis, is going to be
just
part
because,
of this.
Exactly.
Because penis.
Because penis, exactly. The article went viral. Her sons found out what she said.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, I mean, just think on that for a second, right? Your mom thinks that you're potentially a rapist. A rapist.
How old are they?
As a teenage, they're in their teens. We actually don't know because obviously she did put the details out to protect her kids. But as it says here, right? If the feminist men, the men who proudly declare their progressive politics and their fight for equality, aren't safe, then what man is? And her conclusion is, no man I fear.
Wow.
I want to say, I have 2 sons. They're strong, compassionate, the kind of boys other parents are glad to meet when their daughter brings them home for dinner. They're good boys, in a way as good boys are, and they are not safe boys. I'm starting to believe there's no such thing. This is a mother talking about her kids.
Wait, after they found out.
Yeah, this is now after they found out what she said.
Still.
I mean, not to go too long into it, I'll just recap it here. I wrote an essay in the Washington Post last year during the height of the Brock Turner case about my sons and rape culture. I didn't think it would be controversial when I wrote it. I was sure that most parents grappling with the raising of sons in the midst of rape culture, yeah, like most parents sit around thinking, oh my God, I'm raising sons in rape culture, you know? The struggle I wrote about was universal. I thought, but I was wrong. My essay went semi-viral, and for the first time, my sons encountered my words about them and on their friends' phones. About them on their friends' phones, their teachers' computers, and even overheard their discussions by strangers on the crowded metro bus. It was one thing to agree to be written about in a relative obscurity, and quite another to have my words introduced to their daily lives. One of my sons was hurt by these words, although he would never have told me so. He doesn't understand why I lumped him and his brother together in my essay. He sees himself as the good one, and she puts the good in quotes, right? So as if she doesn't believe there is such a thing, right? So he sees himself as the good one, the one who is sensitive and thoughtful and who listens instead of reacts. He doesn't understand that even quiet misogyny is misogyny, and that not all sexism sounds like Twitter trolls. Now, although he won't admit it, that either he wouldn't admit that either. And his anger is led to controversial websites and YouTube channels, places where you can surround himself with righteous indignation against feminists, and tells himself it's ungrateful women like me who are the problem.
Smart kid.
Yeah. As I mean, if you're not getting the love and acceptance from your mother, and your mother basically thinks you're a monster, what do you think the outcome of that's going to be? So anyway, let me kind of skip ahead here. Felt like she was living in a bubble with her sons. The kids are not respecting her views and stuff like that. So she felt like she needed to find like another adult. So she joined Bumble, which is the dating app Bumble, right?
That's like the Tinder for women kind of thing.
It's the feminist Tinder, right?
Yeah.
So because instead of men approaching women now approach men. So she goes on to say here, I joined Bumble recently after 6+ years break from dating. I'm not overly interested in dating in the first place, but I'm starved for adult conversation. So dating feels like a necessary evil. Bumble, as I explained to my married friends, is like the feminist Tinder. Women have to initiate contact with men. At least there's no inbox full of dick pictures every day. But feminists or not, the men are no different from the men anywhere else, and I quickly felt deflated. If the feminist men, the men who proudly declare their progressive politics and their fight for equality, I think that's supposed to be equality, aren't safe, then what man is? No man, I fear. Pass the entire sex with a single paintbrush. Not all men. I'm sure some readers are thinking and preparing to type or tweet, that said thing. But if it is possible for a white person to grow up without adopting racist ideas, for a white person to grow up without adopting racist ideas, and I don't agree with that premise at all, simply because of the environment in which they live, how can I expect men not to subconsciously absorb at least some degree of sexism? White people aren't safe, and men aren't safe, no matter how much I'd like to assure myself that these things aren't true.
And feminists aren't safe either, so.
Oh my God. Here she goes, right? She's talking about her sons. My sons won't rape unconscious women behind a dumpster. Like, yeah, who the fuck sits around thinking about men going around raping women behind dumpsters? But okay. Right? But here's right. My sons won't rape unconscious women behind dumpsters. And neither will most of the progressive men that I know. Like that's a kudos, right? These men share in common, even my sons, is a relentless question and disbelief of female experience. I do not want to prove my pain of evidence to convince anyone that my trauma is merited.
Then you're wrong.
I'm through wasting my time on people who are more interested in ideas than feelings.
Your feelings.
Her feelings. And I'm through pretending that these men are safe. That's basically the conclusion she's coming to. Lastly.
Oh, she loves her sons. Oh, wow.
Of course you do, yeah. But you don't think you're not safe, you don't think you're safe around them. I love my sons, and I love some individual men. It pains me to say that I don't feel emotionally safe with them. And perhaps never have with a man. But it needs to be said because far too often we are afraid to say it. This is not a reflection of something broken or damaged in me. That's totally up for debate, right? It is a reflection of a system we build and our boys absorb. Those little boys grow into men who know the value of women, the value that's been ascribed to us by a broken system, and it seeps out from them in a million tiny toxic ways. I don't know what the balance is between supporting these men and educating them, but I know the toll it takes on me to try. I am too valuable and too worthy to waste my time on men who are not my flesh and blood.
How fucking selfish. Sorry.
But as my boys grow into men, I wonder whether I've done enough to combat the messages they've heard from everyone but me. They are good boys, and maybe that's the best they can be in a system we've created for them. So yeah, this is the legacy of feminism.
See,
like, unbelievable, man. I mean,
how can
There we go.
do you hate your children? Like, I seriously wonder how she like.
I mean, I'm not a parent. I should make that known. And I mean, yeah, my growth coming up as a kid and stuff, and it was pretty messed up just from a divorce between my mom and dad, and it was a messy situation and stuff like that. And yeah, you know, there was kind of, it wasn't physical abuse, but there was kind of abuse. Some things that my parents said to me emotionally that really messed me up. Nothing like this. Nothing to the point of accusing me of being a rape monster in the wings. I mean, I can't even fathom what her kids are going through at this point.
Well, because she assumes her children are going to grow up to be, or at least she sits there and thinks, you know, she's so freaking ignorant of the fact that what she's saying is still having an effect on them. Like, she talks about like wanting to raise them right, wanting to make sure they're never going to be like these men. This fantasy fictional man of just the embodiment of rape culture, and thinks her kids are still going to take her seriously as a mother.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what world she's living in, and as she says, you know, these truths are universal, so she believes this. This is Anita Sarkeesian level of delusion, where she believes she's fighting for the basic humanity of women in the West, where they have more rights than men. I mean, you have to be pretty messed up, you know, to actually kind of pursue this type of thinking. So I mean, I'm glad that, you know, to the sense it sounds like the kids are probably, you know, going to places like YouTube and elsewhere to educate themselves on their mother's condition. But I mean, yeah, as a person who's had some kind of you know, emotional and verbal abuse and other things, I know that's not an easy thing to deal with, man. And yeah, it quite worries me at the end of the day that, you know, this is where we've reached, where women are literally, she's terrified of her own sons.
This is just absolutely ridiculous to think. I really am having a hard time really processing, because she's a feminist that had 2 kids, probably became a feminist after she had the kids, presumably divorced or either never got married to this guy, and now she has these 2 sons, and they found out she wrote this article about men, about her, you know, her experience with men, her ideas, and wonders why they don't get it, wonders why they're going to turn away and go look at other sources of information. And she still still continues her rhetoric to say that I'm still worried they're going to grow up and be rapists. I know my kids are not going to go do this, and they're probably reading this like, what the fuck, Mom? Of course you're not going to go do that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, she doesn't even give that props. Like, okay, my sons aren't going to rape some girl behind a dumpster, but neither would most men. So what are you saying? They're going to rape the girl somewhere else? Like, what does that mean? Right?
Yeah, and they're probably just reading this like, why? Like, where are your children?
I mean, there are no words to describe the level.
If this was
nonsense.
my mom, I'd be like, I think she's delusional. Just like,
yeah, I'm willing to chalk it up to some kind of mental disorder, which I in many ways I think the third wave radical feminism is a mental disorder.
Yeah.
Just like progressivism, I think to some degree you need to have something is off somewhere.
And then she completely throws up. So then she says, you know, I'm not going to waste my time providing evidence for these claims. I'm not going to try to prove why I feel the way I feel. And I'm just going to feel this way. And then turns around and says, it's more about ideas than feelings. Okay, give us an idea then. There's no idea here. There's just a lot of feelings. There's a lot of presumptions, not ideas, presumptions.
Correct.
That just say, you know, you're maybe going to, like, and then she says, well, I might, you know, I'm going to do Bumble because, you know, dating is probably a necessary evil. Maybe that's why she's single.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I could probably do a whole episode about women and dating and the stuff they put on their profiles and stuff like that. But yeah, if it is that you're approaching it with that kind of attitude, believe me, I mean,
No
even
man
the
wants
beta
part of
cuck
that.
male, yeah, the beta cuck male that might like latch onto that and use, you know, their pro-feminist stance to get pussy, um, but they think they're virtuous, which is she's kind of mocking them. So yeah, that kind of condescending attitude is not going to get you anything, even on a Bumble, you know.
Yeah. Promiscuous women are praised in feminism, but promiscuous men are completely demonized as rapists.
Yeah,
So
well, it seems that way.
Seems that way, yeah. But I want to get to this ass cancer.
You want to get to the ass cancer? Okay, you're kind of
need
breaking up on me though. Are you? Is your stream okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, here we go, man. This is the big surprise.
Oh
Where is
boy.
it?
And I will add this for the viewers here. I will add this to the description below. It'll be the last article that'll show up. I only put up the ones that we were initially planning on talking about. So this one's a surprise that Brooke brought up literally like minutes before we started. So, oh boy, what do we got? What?
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you.
You can what?
Yeah. All right, let's do this.
Okay, I did not expect that at all. I thought it was going to be some like taking the mom that's afraid of her rape children to the next level.
This is too good.
This is out of the park.
Yeah. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I present to you. You can now use a dick pic as your password. There we go. And a woman wrote this, by the way, Cassie Murdoch, right?
Oh.
What if instead of using a password, you could use your penis? I mean, like, who of us has not sat back and thought that exact same thing?
I'm more likely of thinking about my children just having it's someone behind a dumpster than thinking about passwords.
So Cam Soda, the webcam platform, is proposing just to do that, right? They've launched a very intimate new way to keep your account secure. It's called Dickometrics. And as the name suggests, it uses your peen print in a way to identify you. Here's how it works. Beginning today. Beginning today, yeah.
What's the app called? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's Cam Soda. Yeah, I actually went to the website. This is like a real thing. Beginning today, you'll be able to use a picture of your dick in place of a traditional password. To do this, you'll need to supply an established shot of your member. And then when you want to log in, then use your proprietary penis recognition tech to match your penis to the initial photo.
I have a feeling. So, like, when Snapchat did the whole, like, face filter thing,
yeah,
people started having, what was it, conspiracy theories that Snapchat was trying to get people's faces to improve, like, facial recognition technology.
Sure. I wouldn't dispute that.
So I wonder if this is some elaborate way for some, like desperate feminists or just desperate women in general to get a bunch of dick pics.
I would suggest that women don't have a lot of problem getting dick pics. If you ever talk,
what I'm just saying is they're so desperate to like get like the mother load of dick pics.
I don't know. I don't know if they necessarily want the mother load, but okay.
Just saying that could be plausible.
That could be plausible. Okay, so let me just kind of finish it up here. The eventual plan is to be able to use the penis print the same way you use a fingerprint. So, so you'd like put your peen on the reader, and then some beep bop would happen, and then voila. All of this is meant to provide an additional layer of security.
Oh.
But wouldn't it just be easier to use a fingerprint? You know, I don't know. Well, this is how Darren Press, Cam Soda VP, explained it in a statement. Like a fingerprint and an eyeball, which are two of the most commonly used body parts in biometric technology, the penis has many, many different factors like size, color, vein, posture. Okay, I could do this. However, unlike a fingerprint and eyeball, penises are not exposed to the public a lot of the time and unlikely to be kept under clothing. Most likely to be kept under clothing and shared with loved ones, presumably who we trust. So basically, your penis is more secure than your eyes and your fingers. I can't do this. Okay, all right. Let me do. We got like 2 more minutes. I could do this. So right.
We can go a little over.
Right. There are a number of logistical confusions about this, but first among them is the fact that the company says an erect penis is preferred since there's more differentiation qualities for verification.
Oh,
what if you? But what if you need access to cam soda before you reach that state? Like, obviously, you better not try to get into your phone in a hurry, right? Also, what about those who don't have a penis to scan?
Well,
I guess it's the women's is, right?
You gotta appeal to the feminists.
Right. Well, Cam Soda says that they're planning to develop similar technology for women. I mean, maybe that's not necessary, but thanks for offering. Anyway, these types of pesky details probably aren't worth fetting out, since it seems unlikely that penis prints will take over the dominant method of logging into the internet.
So,
there we go. I did it.
There was there was a technology in the states that for a time they tried to pull it off, but it just didn't get enough funding, didn't get enough popularity.
Right.
But you could use it for the time that it was available. You would. They tried fingerprints.
Right.
At grocery stores, at stores. You have your little terminal for the credit card, and little thumbprint thing next to it.
Right.
And if you didn't have an account, you could set it up there, or you could go to their help desk, the customer service that set up an account. Then it would connect a credit card to your thumb. So you would go up to the grocery, put your thumb in. You don't need your credit card with you.
Right.
Imagine.
The ultimate glory hole. Yeah. You might actually see men start shopping. This goes back to the whole sex robot thing, It's like,
I mean, they're going to say, well, what if you don't make it to that state? Well, they're going to introduce a small little fan or some sort of massaging device to help you provide a verifiable peen print.
Verifiable erection. Oh, that was just too funny, man. I saw that and it was like, oh, we got to cover this.
This is off the rails.
Yeah. Oh my good. I hope it's a parody. It might be a parody. Nobody take this seriously.
Mashable though. Is Mashable even? Do they even do news?
I don't know. I think they do some kind of commentary and stuff like that, and I didn't really have time to kind of get it. It was just too funny. I had to pull it up. But that's good. We did it, man. We did it. That's not bad, man. Yeah, excellent.
Any concluding thoughts, Brooke, or you think we're done with the
I think we did good, man. I think for the second stream, I think we did well, man. And I don't know if anybody's watching, but to the people who will see this later, again, always thanks for watching, listening to us talk, all this nonsense and stuff like that. That's always appreciated.
We'll try to bring in a little bit more interesting articles as we find them, because we, as much as we want to try to talk about real issues and talk about pertinent news, every now and then we like to have a little fun, find out about penis prints and I'm the one. I'm the young one here. It's 24. So if I talk about a penis, it's funny. But I mean, with Brooke, I mean, he's he's in his 30s. So
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
but
That's
anyways,
good, man.
like I said, we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be doing this every Thursday, 11 o'clock in the morning, Central Standard Time. That's just the best time that works for Brook and I. Being he's in the UK, it'll be 5 o'clock his time. Any later, and it tends to, you know, he's about to end his day. I'm about to start my day, so that kind of works out. So we still have time during the day. But yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe on the video. Subscribe to Brooke Potter's channel, which is, I'm actually going to add that below. We're going to add that last little bit to that, to the description below as well. And you guys can also set notifications. I usually try to set up the stream as an event the day before, 2 days before.
Yes.
Now that we actually have a time, we're going to do it a whole week before, so you can actually set a little reminder. So the nice little notification will pop up on your computer, in an email, or even on your smart devices. So, yeah. Follow us, both of us, on Twitter. You can tell us about any articles you guys want us to share. Any interesting, funny, relevant articles, something you want us to talk about. We could honestly just take a whole, I mean, there's so much content that can just show up. BuzzFeed's always coming out with stuff. I mean, I looked through BuzzFeed, Attention, Vox, Salon. I guess I can. I feel that's just the ones that popped to mind. Maybe I could even look into HuffPo, CNN, maybe, and Mashable now. But anything you guys want us to find, we could just spend a whole. If it's really good, we'll definitely spend it. Incorporate it into a stream, and it kind of helps us out too, so we're not sitting out doing this. I mean, it doesn't take too long to find something interesting, but definitely if you guys find something you want us to talk about, we will bring it up and we'll incorporate it into it. We'll just put something off for another week, or find something new for the next week. So yeah. Absolutely. Thanks for joining us in the stream here. I'm Amos Joseph, and this is Brooke Potter. We will see you next week.